Hello. Happy Monday. We are back for another live video teaching you guys all things holistic healthcare. Now, this video actually changed my topic yesterday because I was reading through comments on my cholesterol post and realized there was a lot of interest and people had a lot of questions specific to that. So I thought it would be a perfect video topic because it is way more than can be covered in a quick post or a reel. So we're going to talk all things cholesterol today, which is such a hot button for a lot of people. So I am fully ready that people will take this two ways, right? Some of you will be like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I'm so glad I learned that. And there's going to be a lot of questions or potentially resistance because the things I'm going to teach you today are going to be quite different than what you've been told up to this point about cholesterol in normal, Western medicine. Now, most of the things I teach are almost opposite of what we've been told, but that's what my passion and my mission is I really feel like there's an entire other side of healthcare, this holistic healthcare movement that people are so unaware of that things literally almost opposite of traditional medicine, right? The holistic premise is that your body is always doing something on purpose. Always. The body is never making a mistake. It's never by accident. And there's always a reason. So if we can start investigating the reason your body is doing anything, right? If it's elevating your cholesterol, if it's depressing your cholesterol, if your thyroid's off, if you have adrenal fatigue, if you have brain fog, if you have blood pressure issues, if you have an autoimmune disease, it doesn't matter what the diagnosis, the name is. In holistic healthcare, the goal is to find out why. And if you can understand why your body is doing something, then you can fix the true cause and you have a much more likelihood of healing and being healthy and being fully vibrant and not just managing a disease or symptoms the rest of your life, right? So that's the biggest difference is in healthcare. And, challenge me if you think I'm wrong, but our traditional healthcare system is about managing disease and managing symptoms, about being told that you will have this forever, so take X, Y, and Z, do this thing, and we'll just manage it so hopefully it doesn't get worse. Or, hey, I'll give you this medication or we'll do this surgery to remove this symptom, yet no one ever tells you why your body was doing that in the first place, right? If that resonates with you, if you feel like that feels true to you, shoot me that in a comment. Be like, yes, that's exactly how I feel. I've been treated up to this point where holistically, we think very differently. We think about finding the root cause. So today I'm going to teach you typical root causes of high cholesterol that actually have nothing to do with diet and exercise. Because if you read some of the comments on my cholesterol post, a couple of things come up, right? The first one that everybody wants to point to immediately is genetics. And I had a couple of people be like, please talk about the genetic component to cholesterol. And although there is absolutely a genetic component, I believe, holistically we believe, that epigenetics, which is how you treat your body, how you support your body, how you really discover your root cause issues, epigenetics, which is what you can still control in your body, can change genetics, right? There is a ton of research on this. Just because you have a predisposition or you have a genetic weakness in your body doesn't mean that you can't be a fully healthy person as long as you're investigating your root cause. Because the next comment I typically hear right away is, well, I have this genetic issue, so diet and exercise don't work for me or don't lower my cholesterol, right? And that might be true. Because diet and exercise, as far as health is concerned, is one piece of the puzzle. And I feel like as a whole, we are only ever taught two ways to take care of our health in the mainstream model, right? It is either diet and exercise, which are important, but it's not the be-all end-all, or medically you are deficient, broken, need help from a medication or a surgery, right? When it comes to healthcare, as it stands today in this country, it is that. It is either medication, surgery, or diet and exercise. And if those two things feel like they're not working for you, it's because you haven't found your root cause answers. And that's what we're going to cover today, is where you can start investigating, start looking to find those answers, because whatever your body is doing, I promise you, it's doing it on purpose. It's doing it for a reason. And if you can find that reason, that's your answer, and that's when you'll get that breakthrough that you've been looking for. So when it comes to cholesterol, I'm going to teach you the most common ones. Now, as always, this is individual, right? You might have one of these, you might have all of them, you might have none of them. Yours might be something different that I'm teaching today, but there's always a reason if your cholesterol is elevated. So my statement on my post that started all the comments was, cholesterol's not the problem, it's the warning sign, right? Now, medically, we have been taught our whole lives that cholesterol is bad. If you have high LDL cholesterol, high total cholesterol, that's bad. Immediately, we need to put you on a statin medication, a cholesterol lowering medication to get those numbers back to normal, right? Now, I don't want you walking around with out of this world high cholesterol. Yes, that is dangerous. We don't want that. That is not what I'm saying. But I'm saying the answer is not squash cholesterol artificially and do nothing else, right? Because then you're just taking away the warning sign. So what cholesterol does, cholesterol is a buffer. In fact, in its nature, its root nature, it's actually made to be protective. It makes this fluffy lining in the vessels and the arteries to protect you from some of the things I'm going to teach you today. It's when it is elevating to protect, and we see those numbers going up, yet we ignore the thing that it's protecting us from, then it can become dangerous. Then it can build up. Then it can cause plaquing. But if you're paying attention to the signals, to the warning sign that your body was designed to do, right? Your cholesterol going up when there's a problem is exactly what your body should be doing. It is the perfect response to the things I'm going to teach you today. But instead of saying, oh shoot, my warning signs are going off, right? My fire alarm's going off. Let's find the fire. We say, hey, fire alarm, you're really freaking annoying. I'm going to turn you off. And then I'm going to lay down and go back to sleep. That is how we get into trouble, right? Stop turning off the warning sign, stop turning off the fire alarm and doing nothing about the fire. Find the freaking fire if you don't want your body to burn long term, right? Because the research actually shows there is very little difference. Research this, Google it. There is research in Google. I can't believe I just said that. That's like my least favorite thing, right? When people are like, I researched it. Oh, you Googled it? Okay, that doesn't count as research. So you need to actually go to journal articles, PubMed, find true research, don't just Google it. But look at the statistics, and they say just as many people, the numbers are very slightly off, but barely, equal amounts of people die of heart disease and heart attacks with high cholesterol as they do with normal cholesterol. Think about that. If we're being told that we have to take this medication for cholesterol because if not, we're going to have heart disease or a heart attack, but the signs are showing that regardless, if your cholesterol is low or your cholesterol is high, just as many people are getting heart disease, it's because cholesterol isn't the only cause. Now, extremely high cholesterol, again, dangerous, yes, absolutely, fully agree. Don't comment saying, oh, you didn't say cholesterol is dangerous. Sure it is. But why is your cholesterol high? I'm going to teach you the 3 most investigated reasons and most common reasons your cholesterol is elevated. And if you have chronically elevated cholesterol, whether you've been told it's genetic, whether you have no idea, whether it's idiopathic, it doesn't matter. If you haven't investigated these 3 reasons, I highly encourage you to do so. The first one, probably the one I see the most often, is hormone deficiency. Now, wait a minute, doc, how do my hormones have anything to do with my cholesterol? Well, it's called anatomy and physiology, right? I love when people make comments like, well, where do you get your science from? Anatomy and physiology. Open any anatomy and physiology book and fact check this. Every hormone in your body, there's something called your steroid hormone pathway. The way your hormones are made, if you look at the pathway, the very first thing that contributes as a building block to all of your other steroid hormones is cholesterol. That means you need healthy amounts of cholesterol to build healthy hormone balance. So if you are a person, specifically a woman, who has a lot of stress, right? Because one of those hormones is cortisol, your stress hormones. If you have a lot of stress and you're depleting cortisol, if you have a lot of stress and now your overactive cortisol is depleting your progesterone, and now you're running on low hormones, guess what your body is going to do on purpose? because it's the right thing to do in that situation. Your body's gonna say, oh, your hormones are deficient. It's making you feel like crap. It's running your metabolic system at a lower rate. This could become really problematic if we leave it like this. I'm gonna give you more cholesterol so that you have more building blocks to make the hormones that your body needs, right? That's brilliant. That's exactly what it should be doing. But what if you don't realize that? You're not investigating the hormone piece. You just see that your cholesterol's high and you do, let's say it's even a natural thing. You just decide you're gonna take a natural supplement, right? I love when people do that. Well, I didn't take the medication, but what are the 3 supplements I can take, right, to help my cholesterol? It doesn't work like that. If you're only doing something to lower a number and you're not fixing the cause, you can use supplements the exact same way you're using a medication. That is not what fixes everything. It's figuring out why. So let's say you do the natural thing, right? You say, oh, my cholesterol's high. I'm gonna take these 3 supplements and I'm gonna lower my cholesterol. But you don't do anything about the low hormones. Now you just took away your body's ability to make more hormone, right? So now you're fatigued. Now you're having muscle cramping. Now you're having brain fog and you can't figure it out because your cholesterol looks better. It went down. Yay, you think your supplements worked. But you feel like crap because you took away the building blocks to make hormones, right? Start thinking about why. Why is my body doing this? Not just how do I fix a number? Why is my body doing this? So first place, if you have not investigated, if you have chronically high cholesterol and you haven't looked at the potential of imbalance or deficiencies in your hormones, they are directly related. Cause number 1. Cause number 2, chronic infections, specifically infections in the gut, things like H. pylori, bacterial overgrowth, yeast overgrowth, or chronic viral infections, which now I will also start to lump in COVID. Prior to this whole last 2 years, I would always talk about Epstein-Barr virus, chronic herpes viruses. Those types of reactivated viruses are things that cause a lot of problems inside the body and can make a lot of levels go off. Now we're seeing very similar things with long-term effects post-COVID. So if you've had any type of infection, and here's the thing, maybe you don't know. Have you tested your gut for chronic infections? Have you looked for a chronic viral load? Do you know if you have reactivated Epstein-Barr from maybe a mono infection when you were younger that's reactivated now because of stress? Have you checked how your body is responding post-COVID infection? Those are all things, those chronic infections in the body require protection, right? And what did I tell you at the beginning of this video? At its core, in the beginning, when cholesterol starts to elevate, it is to protect you. So if there are chronic infections, your body by nature is going to give you some more protection, some more anti-inflammatory properties, which again, in the beginning, cholesterol is designed to do that. It's when you don't fix it and you let it get higher and higher and higher and more inflammatory, then it becomes problematic. But if you have those chronic infections, your body is going to elevate cholesterol on purpose. It's your warning sign. It is the fire alarm saying, hey, there's a chronic infection in here that you better take care of, or it could lead to an autoimmune disease. It can lead to all of these deficiencies and inflammation and chronic health issues. So your body elevates cholesterol, sends off the warning sign, and same deal. What if you just say, oh shoot, my cholesterol's high. Let me squash that naturally or medically, doesn't matter. I don't care what way you choose to do it. If you're just squashing a number, what if you do that, but you never deal with the chronic infection? You never deal with H. pylori. You never deal with the reactivated Epstein-Barr. Those are all things that have been shown over and over and over again to contribute to autoimmune disease, to contribute to chronic pain, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. Those are all things that can contribute long-term if you don't deal with it, whether your cholesterol is normal or not. That's the point of this video. It's not that cholesterol is not problematic. It's not that it's not something you need to deal with, but just lowering your cholesterol and leaving the root cause is going to make more problems down the road and more serious problems that you're going to need to deal with. So if you haven't investigated chronic infections, bacterial, fungal, viral, and parasitic, those are all things that need to be investigated to rule in or out, right? Maybe you don't have those, but maybe you do, and you need to investigate that to figure it out. So that's cause number 2. And cause number 3 is inflammation, right? Your body makes cholesterol to buffer from inflammation. So this is the part, and again, no matter what we're working on, yes, you need to eat an anti-inflammatory diet. That's good for everybody. Yes, you need to move your body and get exercise. That's good for everybody. Those pieces are never not relevant, but they are not the only keys to health and healing. So if you have inflammation, it's also finding the root of why your body is inflamed. Potentially it's heavy metals. Do you have amalgam fillings in your mouth? Do you have mold toxicity? 50 to 80% of buildings, depending on where you live in the country, in the world, I'm sure this goes everywhere, 50 to 80% of buildings have some type of mold damage or mold toxicity. Have you investigated that? If you're chronically inflamed, if you are always bloated, if you always have joint pain, have you investigated those potential causes as the root of what's going on? If you feel like you can exercise and eat well and you don't really get that much symptomatic relief, like your body doesn't feel amazingly different, it's because there are other things creating the inflammation that wasn't just food or exercise related. So checking into your environment. Are you using toxic products that are causing inflammation? Are you consuming artificial sugars? Are you consuming synthetic vitamins? Are you consuming dyes and food colorings in your nutrition sources that are creating chronic inflammation in your body that will in turn elevate your cholesterol, right? Those are all things that when there is external sources of inflammation introduced into the body will respond because it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. I will say that over and over again until I'm blue in the face. Your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Start listening, start asking the right questions, and then you'll know what your best path is to get that under control, right? Depending on what your cause is, your plan, your protocol, your process will look totally different. Someone whose cholesterol is elevated because of a hormonal issue, their plan is going to look totally different than someone whose cholesterol is elevated because of an infection, right? So there is no one, take these 3 supplements, take this one medication, this is the cure-all and the thing that fixes it. We don't work like that. Human bodies don't work like that. Our causes are different. The process has to be different. So if you're following anything standard protocol by the book to try and really fix these big issues and it's not working, it's because it's not the right process for you, right? And especially when it comes to cholesterol, because we've been so ingrained, every blood work your doctor pulls, every healthy checkup at your office, everything people talk about, cholesterol is probably the number one thing, cholesterol and triglycerides that they're looking at to deem whether you are healthy or not. That is false thinking. That should just be looking at, is there something else going on physiologically in my body? Do I need to investigate further? Or is my body showing that it's mostly in homeostasis, right? If those numbers keep coming back normal and everything looks good, those are better indications that there's not a ton of internal inflammation. If they're off, here's my biggest lesson for today, closing statement. If you have high cholesterol, if you have chronic high cholesterol, if you are on a cholesterol lowering medication, but you have never sat down and said, do I know why? Do I know the cause of my high cholesterol, even if you've been told it's genetic? Well, what is triggering my genetic response? Are there other things that I can do that I can look for to support my body properly so it no longer feels the necessity to keep firing the warning signs, to keep turning on the smoke alarm, the fire alarm, telling you that there's danger? What can you do to remove the things that are making your body feel unsafe so that it can stop firing the alarm? That is what I want you to take away from today. That's what I want you to think about. If you want help figuring out what that looks like for you, shoot me a message, DM me. We can talk through what next steps look like. But your number one thing to do is figure out why your body is doing it, because it's doing it for a reason. And that is how you find your root cause answers. So stop asking how. How do I lose weight? How do I lower my cholesterol? How do I fix my gut? That's the wrong question. Why? Why is my body doing this? What is the cause? That's what true holistic healthcare looks like. So I hope that answered some questions. I hope that gave you some things to think about today. Again, no, cholesterol is not something you should be concerned about. You should be concerned if it's elevated. Yes, absolutely. That is not something we want, but not just by squashing it, by figuring out why your body's doing that. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week with a new topic. I will put it in my stories. I'm also going to ask for suggestions if there's any health topics you want to hear a holistic perspective on. We'll be doing this every Monday at noon, so tune in for more really great information.